Our new video series is all about what you can accomplish this time of year on your property as a landowner. And in our first video, we're going to go over a property evaluation, steps that you can take to evaluate the success of your property and how you can improve it for wildlife.
Mossy Oak Properties. We're outdoorsmen. Find their favorite place.
One of the biggest things that we see that is almost on the mistake side when it comes to wildlife management and managing your property is managing for hunting seasons.
Yeah.
That's a big thing that people do. And not utilizing the time and preparation of knowing what to do and what not to do on your property. So this is a great time of year to go out there and evaluate, what your property needs. What is it lacking?
Yeah.
You can hire a consult. Highly advise that, especially this guy. But anyway, you can hire a consultant, you can hire a forester, but some of it you can do on your own.
Right.
Going out there seeing, did we do enough?
Yeah.
Did we do something wrong? Because you are allowed to fail.
Oh, for
and
sure.
that's how we succeed, is by failure.
Yeah.
Whether it's food plots or wrong herbicide. I bought the wrong herbicide. I used it the wrong amount. Oh my gosh, all this stuff that you could take time, evaluate your property.
Yeah, nobody knows your property better than you do.
Mm-hmm.
And as Eric mentioned, you can hire a consultant, hire a biologist, hire a forester to help guide you on your land management journey. But nobody puts more boots on the ground hours than you do as a landowner. So take that knowledge, and this time of year, we got the whole year ahead of us. The winter, it's a blank slate. It's a new year. Goals can be reset, refocused, reestablished. And step one, and that's what we're going to guide you through on this video, is evaluating your property as is, goals that you accomplished last year and how you can refine those and be more successful this year.
One of the first things that you could evaluate on your piece of property, especially if you have a food plot program, is to evaluate your food plots. Did they work? Did you do enough? Soil sampling, all this stuff, the things that you could do this time of year when it comes to your food plots. This food plot that we're standing, we had, I hate to say it, a big failure. And it wasn't necessarily the person in the driver's seat this time, it was the weather. We had a very dry, very horrible fall planting season, reference, rain amounts and stuff. But what grows really good when your food plot seed doesn't grow? Weeds. We're sitting there walking around this, and there is nothing but this grass, and I don't even know what this grass is, but I do have time to take this grass, take it to somebody that does know what it is, so we can use the right herbicide to correct it. And knowing me, it's probably the most invasive thing out there that's going to cost me a lot of money. But again, taking the time instead of waiting until food plot season comes and playing catch up. Maybe it was a herbicide is out of stock, all this stuff, but take the time to do it now. And again, the food plot did get utilized, but not like it should, reference the amount of stuff because of the weather, and that does happen. But again, going out there. One thing when it comes to food plot, yeah, you can plant anything in there. I'm not a big, hey, you got to plant this. Outside of the food source is what, in my opinion, makes the food plot work. Soft mass, hard mass, going up to those trees, checking the tree shelters, doing all this stuff, the soft and hard mass trees that you plant around your food sources, going out there and improving your wildlife openings, which we're going to discuss here later. But one thing, follow me a little bit here, is always, deer are a species of veg and all this stuff. And we have a buffer system around our food plot, and going out here and seeing, did the deer utilize this? And they are nipping the heck out of this multiflora, greenbrier and stuff. And a lot of this is getting a little bit on the woody, hard woody side. So we need to go out there and improve this. Do we need to set it back, start over, make it bigger? But it is working. But I wouldn't have known. I did all this work a couple years ago, with a dozer and stuff. And usually, again, we manage for hunting seasons and we walk away. Get out there, get off the couch, get out there and you look and see what you can do to improve the food plot on top of all the stuff that you need to do to the food plot.
All right, the cool thing to me about wildlife management is it's an ongoing process. It's never finished. Never do we close the book and say, I'm done. I've done everything there is that needs to be done. We're in a spot right now that used to be a monoculture almost of white pine. We had a logging crew come in. There was some value in the white pine from a financial standpoint. The loggers removed the white pine. And we're in an area that ideally would be early successional habitat, and during the spring and summer it looks like that because everything's green, there's vegetation, there's cover. But this time of year, as we're evaluating the property, all of this beige, light brown stuff around us that responded as a result of opening the canopy from the harvested pine trees, all this thick dead grass thatch is Japanese stilt grass, an extremely non-native, extremely invasive grass. As we're evaluating the property this time of year, we can identify the grass, which is step one, and now we can formulate a game plan. Fortunately, killing Japanese stilt grass, it's not difficult, it just takes time with the right herbicide, which in this case, there are some valuable plant species in here during the spring and summer that have food or cover value to deer or pollinating value to pollinators. We don't want to kill those broadleaf plants, which most wildlife benefit from. We just want to kill the non-native invasive grass, which is what Japanese stilt grass is. So we'll use a grass selective herbicide called clethodim to come in here and with a backpack sprayer, and it'll take a couple years to really totally eradicate it. We'll come in here this spring and summer and we'll kill it, but the bad thing about Japanese stilt grass is the seed can persist in the soil for a long time. So it's going to take a couple of applications, but that's part of the process, and the result from the native plant response from killing the Japanese stilt grass is going to be far worth it. So it's a multi-step process as we're managing our properties for wildlife. Like I said, we're never finished. Step one was harvesting the pine trees, and we're letting sunlight hit the forest floor, but in that process we're having to deal with non-natives. This time of year, as we're evaluating our property, we're able to identify invasive species and learn how to treat them. In this case, it's Japanese stilt grass. We know it's a grass, we know what herbicide we want to use to kill it, a grass selective, so we don't harm broadleaf native vegetation. Come spring or summer, when the Japanese stilt grass takes hold, starts doing its thing, we'll come in here with a backpack sprayer, a little sweat equity, and improve this property and this part of the property even further.
On top of what Cody just said, when you're walking around your property, it can be overwhelming, and we've talked about that in the past, going, oh my gosh, large scale. And this clear cut is probably like a 5-acre pine clear cut, basically, with every stitch of it being Japanese stilt
Right.
grass. And walking it and evaluating it now, we come up with a game plan.
Right.
Is a dozer the right thing to do? Go in there and clear it. Okay, if it is, we have time now to get the dozer on the the operator on the schedule of trying to get things done. Herbicide, the amount of herbicide, checking our equipment to make sure that it still works from, whatever, all the above. But yeah, don't make it overwhelming.
Right. Chip away at it a little bit of a time. That's the name of the game, especially with invasive species, because it can be so overwhelming. They are such prolific seeders, and those seeds persist in the soil for many, many years. It's never a battle that you win. You're going to have to chip at it away a little bit at a time, but go into it with that expectation and be realistic with your goals.
When evaluating your property, again, we beat this horse to death, diversity. And we talked about food plots, talk about the invasive control, the stuff that you find out while evaluating your property. Native vegetation, in Cody and I's opinion, is always the best route to go. And on this piece of property that Cody and I are walking around on today, we had a logger come in, and with a plan, with a goal, we wanted to create a little financial gain, but more wildlife. But what we found out, and luckily we did, we went in here and we seen where they cut and the value that was accomplished for wildlife. We're gonna let some sunlight hit the forest floor. We're gonna have eruption food, all the whole 9 yards that you've heard from us before. But what we learned is that we need to come in here, and this is something that we've never talked about, is mid-story management. What happens is these beech trees and other trees, these non-desirable type of trees, even some softwood, that's going to limit the effect and be so aggressive. We can come in here now very easily, especially when the tree's young, that mid-story that's plaguing this property. We can control with some hacking and squirting and stuff at an early age, less work, less amount of herbicide, etc. So walking around looking, and hey, feel free to contact the forester after a harvest and walk and see what the next step. Micromanage. Maybe you can go in there with the chainsaw and just tune it up a little bit in certain areas strategically throughout the property after a logger comes in. But mid-story management, and this is something that Cody and I are going to press in the future, is, you know, things that we've never talked about, mid-story management. But it's very easy management practice. You know, you just go in there, you see what the mid-story is, and in this case, it's all trees that have the tan leaves. That's behind me. Those are American beech trees. And it's unfortunate that American beech trees don't produce a nut every year. It's every 7 or so years because it takes so much out of the soil, so much out of the tree to produce a nut. But it's very aggressive, and it will shade out that desirable species that we're looking for wildlife.
I hate to admit it, but if I'm honest with myself, I'm always a little bit excited when deer season is over. I never want to wish it away, but the end of one deer season is the beginning of another. And not exclusive to deer season, but this time of year when hunting season is over, it begins the next chapter in our journey as wildlife managers. In this time of year, we can evaluate our property from a hunting standpoint and from a habitat standpoint and see what was working and what needs improved upon. And this time of year is the time of year to do that.
Absolutely. I don't know what you say after all that, but it is, I know it's our favorite time. It's just, especially after the deer seasons, we usually you just want to get rid of it anyway. But no, it is. It's so exciting. And as I know, I hate to sound like the old man of the group, because I am, but it's just, as you get older, you just, you know, the hunting is very special and always will be special to me. And I know it is to you, and I know it is to you. But managing and learning and stuff, it just, you can't create ceilings. Yeah. When you create ceilings, this is when it gets boring. This is when the creative juices stop and all that stuff. You can't create ceilings. In wildlife management, it's very easy to do that with your knowledge or your confidence and stuff like that, or even your financial way. Right. There's always ways around those things. But I mean, today was a great day, walking the piece of property that we're standing on, being blessed to be doing what we do for a living, and we learned so much looking at our food plots. Yeah. We looked at and see, hey, those failures are going to be successes. Right. You know, invasives. We didn't catch that. Now we got we're the proud new owner of Japanese stillgrass. Yay for us. But yeah.
This time of year, as we're evaluating our properties, we see opportunities everywhere. Opportunities to improve our food plots that we checked out. Opportunities to improve native vegetation through invasive species control. And then opportunities just to improve the overall landscape of this habitat through mid-story management, as Eric talked about, evaluating the work of a logger. Every choice we make is a chance to improve the habitat on our property and the wildlife that call it home. And this time of year, it's a great time of year to evaluate what's working and what's not, and taking those opportunities to further improve the quality of habitat on your property for wildlife.
Mossy Oak Properties, where outdoorsmen find their favorite place.